So here we are on the verge of a new large-scale FEMA exercise from the 16th to 20th of May, FEMA being the lead agency and interagency participation. It is, in effect, the continuation of the Top-Off series, and the Top-Off 3 had more or less reproduced or was congruent with the details of the London 7/7/2005. I would be interested to know from our listeners in the UK, is Atlantic Blue going on in the UK right now? And from our listeners in Canada, is Triple Play going on? Because if we have another one of those situations where Top Off, Atlantic Blue, and Triple Play are lined up, it's a little bit like the planets in the morning sky. It might lead to seismic events. So we've had the Shaw Air Force Base there in South Carolina. Right here in the neighborhood, we've had all kinds of flyovers by NORAD. You look at this Cairo, Illinois, and for the international listeners, because it's written Cairo, like Cairo, Egypt, but here in the country it's Cairo, Illinois. I guess that's where the Ohio River comes together with the Mississippi. It's the southern point of the state of Illinois, and we've had some blowing up of levees going on, and who knows what that means? It may mean nothing, or it may mean something, but it's worth a look, certainly, in this supercharged atmosphere that we're in now. Please notice, I have not been talking about this for quite a number of years. The last time we had an alert of this nature was, I would say, August, September 2007, the time of the Kenny Bunkport warning. We had a gathering alert in the July, August of the last year, 2010, but that then deflated right after the Aspen conference and after the calls from the Gulf states for an immediate attack on Iran. That didn't seem to go anywhere. So this is not something we have to do all the time, but sometimes you do, and this may be one of them. We have reports from a television station in San Diego, California, that Hezbollah has come to Mexico and is setting up shop there. One really scary one. On May 8th, India is beginning military exercises of one of its three strike corps, one of its three assault corps, I guess you'd say. And for the first time, this is a nuclear, bacteriological, and chemical, NBC or ABC, as it's sometimes called, exercise. I would urge India to call off that drill, because that's essentially a drill for an attack on Pakistan. Think back to the statesmanship of Putin on September 11, 2001. When he saw the stuff going on here in the U.S., Putin immediately called Bush and said, well, we here in Russia had a strategic bomber drill going on over the North Pole at this time, but we're going to call that off so that we don't make the world situation any hotter. And that was, I believe, part of the significant contribution made by Putin to world peace all during that past decade. But that was a very, very critical moment when he showed a conciliatory and rational response to that entire situation. So I would urge India, call off the drill of the strike corps that's supposed to start on May 8th, because that could easily kick over, as often happens, into the real thing. The other pattern we're getting that is very, very disturbing is stress on railroads and subways and that kind of transportation. Apparently now we're getting the first fruits of the so-called pseudo, and in quotes, Al-Qaeda hard drives and thumb drives from the alleged pseudo, and in quotes, bin Laden apartment there in Abbottabad. And we're being told that they were talking about attacks on rail transportation. And maybe the idea is that those are not militarized enough. Maybe it's time for body scanners at the railway station as well as the airport, or indeed something less structural and more immediate, more cataclysmic. The question of having these attacks on means of transportation. On May 5th, we had in the London Underground, in the London tubes, we had a chemical attack drilled at the Bank station. And as the press account said, the goal was to make it as realistic as possible. Think for a minute what that means. If it's totally realistic, it goes live. I would like to see people turn away from these kinds of practices. But the big one, I think, is the dirty bomb in New York City. Just now in April, we had a drill in which large numbers of sources of gamma rays, of radiation, were spread around the New York City area. According to one account, 63 gamma ray sources were sent into the New York City area, and then the challenge to the security forces was to find them. It's like an Easter egg hunt or a scavenger hunt. You've got to find them. And where were they located? On the Upper West Side, on the Staten Island Ferry, at a Cadillac dealer in Westport, Connecticut, at Yankee Stadium in the Bronx, in Penn Station in Midtown. So gamma ray sources. And we had Kroll Associates. You get private contractors in there who are less subjected to scrutiny than the government offices. When these Kroll people come in, or other consulting firms, private military firms, you get Blackwater in there, you get DynCorp and so forth. This then raises suspicions once again. What are they doing, and are these drills going to go live? We're told that this reflects the Padilla scenario. Remember Jose Padilla, American citizen, arrested, I believe, O'Hare Airport, Chicago, now in jail for 17 or 20 years. The idea is that he was supposed to be preparing a dirty bomb, and we had other questions of dirty bombs. We've also had, in the past year or so, chemical alerts in the New York City subway as well. So here's now a vast array of things, from London to the New Madrid seismic zone, to New York City, to, Cape Cod. Let's not forget that. Cape Cod, on the area of the Cape Cod Canal, where the Cape ends and the Massachusetts mainland begins, in the Sandwich area, we had another terror drill at the end of April. But let's just go back to this drill in the Port of New York, Manhattan, with these gamma ray sources. Well, if there are 63 gamma ray sources and they found them, what if somebody bootlegs into that pile of 63 another one, which is not simply a gamma ray source, but something much more dangerous, some kind of radiological device that might then go off? You get the idea. Why are we doing this now? This is, quite frankly, insane. And in the past, I believe in Charleston, South Carolina, when there was supposed to be a drill of a nuclear device going off, there was a large hue and cry in the local press of people who said, we don't want this. We don't want this to dominate our weekend. We feel that it's dangerous. And, of course, it is, because the level of security and the level of transparency is not sufficient, especially in these private military consulting firms. We cannot be at all assured that these people are on the up and up. So this is the inside mechanics of how false flags can be created under the cover of legally announced, legally sanctioned, and apparently normal military drills, adventurous and imaginative though they may be. But then small changes are introduced and a tragedy results. I would urge people to recommend, to demand their congressmen that these things not be held at this time. Because we've had these warnings, right? Warnings especially from the fake al-Qaeda sites that the U.S. could take down within 3 seconds if they wanted to, using Cyber Command and all the rest. They don't do it. Why don't they do it? They want that message out there. So time for vigilance, time for skepticism, time for realism, time for an empirical approach, not empiricist, but empirical. We'll be back in a minute.